Hi everyone, so we're going to continue with our integumentary system here, talking about some of our accessory organs that we're going to see in skin. Okay, so some of the things that we're going to see are hair follicles, and these are present on all surfaces of the skin except our palms, soles, lips, nipples, and parts of external reproductive organs. Each hair develops from a hair follicle. This hair is composed of dead keratinized epidermal cells. And our genes are actually going to determine our hair color. So as we can see here, we can see our hair follicle is going to be this whole thing here that's wrapping around our root of our hair. And this is going to be composed of a lot of cells that are reproducing to create that habitat for our hair follicles. So if we're taking a look at our microscope image, we can see our, right here, our hair follicle and our hair root here as well. So that's going to cover all the way around our hair root. Another accessory organ that we're going to see is our nails. So these are protective coverings at the ends of our fingers and toes. And these nails grow again from epithelial cells that reproduce and become keratinized in a luna. So our nail appearance mirrors health here. So sometimes when we see people who have kind of yellowish nails, we can kind of take some health ideas from this and those stains that we're going to see on our nails. So if we take a look here, we have our lunula right here, and that's going to be growing as our nail bed grows here. So all these cells over here are reproducing and creating this nail plate as we come along, as it moves up. Another thing that we're going to see a lot of are skin glands. So some different skin glands that we're going to see is sebaceous glands. So sebaceous glands secrete something called sebum, and it's an oily secretion, and we're going to see these associated with acne. So we're going to see these along our face usually, but also acne can come any part of our skin, and it's just this excess of sebum. So it's also usually associated with hair follicles. So since we do have hair all over our body, that's why acne occurs pretty much anywhere, except again those hands, our soles of our feet and our hands, and those other locations. So what we're going to see, we can see that we have a hair follicle here, and we have our sebaceous gland right next to it. Another gland that we're going to see are sweat glands. So sweat glands are eccrine glands. So we're going to find these are on our forehead, neck, and back. Apocrine glands is a different type of sweat gland. When we find those in our armpits and groin. And then a different kind of gland here is going to be our Cermina's glands. So these are actually going to secrete earwax. So a different type of gland here. And then finally, we're going to see mammary glands, and those are going to secrete milk. So skin is really important for the regulation of body temperature. So how that helps is our skeletal muscles produce a lot of heat, more heat than we need, and so we need our skin to help release that heat. So how does our body release excess heat? It releases it through our skin in 4 different ways. So one of them is radiation. So infrared heat escapes from warmer to cooler surroundings. Another one is conduction. So heat's going to move from the body directly to molecules of cooler objects that are in contact with it. So that's why, like, when we ice our muscles after we exercise, we're releasing that heat from our body because that cooler object, the ice, is in direct contact with the surface of our skin, helping remove that heat because, again, heat moves from warm to cool. Convection is another way. So hot air moves away from the body and cool air moves towards the body. So when we sweat, we're going to see that the sweat on the surface of our skin is going to evaporate off, so moving that cool air towards the body. And the last one, again, we're going to see here evaporation that I just talked about a little bit, how sweat is also going to remove heat from the body by removing those water from the body. Another thing we're going to talk about a little bit here is skin color. So heredity and environment are actually going to determine skin color here. So we have genetic factors here. So people have the same number of melanocytes. Remember, melanocytes are found in our stratum basal layer of our skin, and they produce melanin that helps with the coloring. So all people have the same number of melanocytes in our skin. Differences in skin color are actually going to result from differences in the amount of melanin that these cells produce, and this is going to be controlled genetically. So more melanin, the darker the skin color that we're going to see. And our pituitary gland is actually going to release a hormone called melanocyte stimulating hormone. So that's how our genetic factors are going to come into play here. So it regulates the number and amount and size of this melanin granules that are going to be produced by our melanocytes. So another factor that plays into skin color is going to be environmental factors. So this includes UV light exposure mostly. So the more contact you have with the sun, the UV light, is going to determine how dark or light your skin is going to be. So this UV light exposure stimulates the melanocytes to make more melanin, darkens the skin to protect the body from this harmful UV radiation. So if you're living more towards the equator, you're going to see darker skin colors than if we're moving more towards the poles, where you're going to see lighter skin colors because we don't need that protection from the UV radiation. So another factor that plays into skin color here is going to be physiological factors. So hemoglobin in our red blood cells, more O2, is we're going to have more pinkish skin. Less O2, we're going to have kind of a bluish skin, which is called cyanosis. And then we also have keratin that we're going to see in our skin color, which is a yellow-orangey pigment that may give the skin a yellowy cast if the person eats too much of it. So we're going to see keratin in carrots, which is kind of funny. So it accumulates in our adipose tissue for that one. Some different skin conditions that we're also going to see here is jaundice. So when we're jaundiced, I'm sure you've heard of it, it's actually a liver thing that is going to show you that something is wrong inside your body. So it's also very commonly seen with newborn babies. So this yellowish skin shortly after birth for some newborns. And some of the causes here is going to be, again, an immature liver. So jaundice is a really big indicator for different liver conditions. So in infants, an immature liver. For adults, it could be liver disease. So for infants specifically, sunlight is going to break down this bilirubin, which causes the jaundice, and the liver is substance that accumulates in the skin. We're going to stop here for now. We talked about a few different accessory organs. Remember, if you have any questions, make sure you reach out to me.